There are homes that look peaceful, yet carry a strange exhaustion within their walls. Rooms filled with furniture, laughter, screens glowing through the midnight hour. But beneath the surface, something sacred has been leaking away unnoticed. And you have felt it. Not in your mind first, but in your spirit. A heaviness you could not explain. A silence in prayer that once burned with fire. The soul knows when the atmosphere around it has changed. Listen carefully. The enemy rarely enters through broken gates. He enters through open windows left unattended by distraction. Small permissions, casual indulgences, tiny fragments of compromise scattered like dust across the altar of daily life. The ancient hermits understood this truth. Before they climbed the mountains to seek God, they purified the chambers around them. They knew the spirit absorbs what the eyes repeatedly honor. You cannot drink from poisoned wells.
Imagine an ancient alchemist standing before a furnace. He understands one eternal law. Whatever is repeatedly fed into the fire eventually changes the nature of the flame itself. So it is with the human spirit. What enters your home enters your inner chambers. The sounds you tolerate, the images you celebrate, the hidden things you protect in secrecy, all of them become ingredients in the atmosphere surrounding your soul. Many have unknowingly built homes where chaos is entertained daily. Voices of lust, violence, rebellion, mockery, endlessly echoing through screens and speakers until conviction itself becomes faint. At first, the spirit resists. Then it adapts. Then it becomes numb. This is how compromise operates. Not like thunder, but like slow erosion beneath the sea. The deep-sea voyager knows the danger of unnoticed pressure. A vessel does not collapse because of one wave. It collapses because small fractures remain ignored for too long. And some fractures are hidden in plain sight. Music that feeds bitterness. Objects tied to old addictions. Tokens from sinful seasons preserved like relics from a dead identity. Decorations carrying spiritual confusion disguised as art.
There comes a moment in every transformation where the soul becomes tired of surviving half awake. That moment is sacred. It is the turning point. The mountain hermit reaches a season where silence begins exposing everything noise once concealed. He sees how distraction weakened discernment, how compromise slowly diluted conviction, how comfort became an altar. And suddenly, the eyes open. Not with fear, with clarity. You begin realizing that spiritual warfare is often deeply practical. The battle is not always some dramatic encounter in the night. Sometimes the battle is deciding what deserves access to your mind every single day. Sometimes deliverance begins with removal, deleting what feeds temptation, throwing away what keeps resurrecting old identities, closing doors that should have never remained open. The soul cannot walk into new creation while dragging chains from former seasons behind it. You already know this.
There are things in your life that God has quietly asked you to release, yet you kept them nearby because they felt familiar. But familiarity is not always safety. A prisoner can grow emotionally attached to his own cage if he remains inside it long enough. And this is why many believers remain spiritually exhausted. They pray for peace while preserving confusion. They ask God for fire while continuously pouring water over the altar. But the shift happens when a person finally says, "No more divided ground."
That declaration changes everything, because heaven responds powerfully when surrender becomes complete. Not perfect, complete. The architect of silence begins rebuilding the inner world brick by brick. Clarity returns, conviction sharpens, prayer deepens, the atmosphere changes. Not because the walls became holy, but because the heart did. And once the soul tastes spiritual clarity again, it never truly wants to return to spiritual fog. This is the turning point. The moment you stop negotiating with what has been weakening you. The moment you remember that your spirit was designed for higher things. Mastery is not loud. It is disciplined. The strongest spiritual people are rarely the most theatrical. They are the ones who guard their inner gates with consistency. The ancient voyagers understood this. Before crossing violent oceans, they inspected every weakness in the vessel. They respected the reality that one neglected opening could sink the entire journey. You must learn this wisdom. A guarded atmosphere is not legalism. It is stewardship. You are the keeper of your inner sanctuary. What enters your home repeatedly will eventually seek authority over your thoughts. So become intentional. Fill your space with things that strengthen clarity instead of weakening it. Let your home breathe peace. Let prayer become natural there again. Let truth echo through the rooms louder than distraction. Some people fear removing unhealthy influences because they think emptiness will follow. But they do not understand the mystery of God. When darkness leaves, presence arrives. And presence changes everything. The soul grows stronger when compromise loses its throne. You begin noticing things again. Your discernment sharpens. Your peace becomes less fragile.
Your spirit stops feeling constantly heavy. This is spiritual maturity. Not performance, not religious appearance. Authority. The kind born from alignment. There is power in a person whose inner life and outward life no longer fight each other. Heaven trusts disciplined hearts, not because they are flawless, but because they are surrendered. And understand this clearly. The enemy fears believers who become spiritually awake and internally governed. Because once a person truly learns how to protect their atmosphere, manipulation loses access, confusion loses influence, and compromise loses its hiding place. You were never meant to drift through life spiritually sedated. You were meant to stand awake, strong, clear-minded, untangled.
There is a final truth many never realize until late in life. Your home is speaking back to you every day, through its atmosphere, through its sounds, through the things you continuously honor within it. And eventually, the soul becomes shaped by what surrounds it most. This is why sacred spaces mattered throughout ancient history. The wise understood that environments either sharpen awareness of God or slowly bury it beneath layers of distraction. So hear the final revelation carefully. You do not need darkness in order to understand light. You do not need counterfeit power when the Spirit of God already walks beside you. You do not need reminders of bondage once heaven has called you free. The time has come to cleanse the inner temple, not out of paranoia, but out of reverence.
Because something holy is trying to grow within you, and holy things suffocate in contaminated atmospheres. Perhaps tonight is the night the fire returns. Perhaps tonight is the night the chains finally break. Perhaps tonight is the night your home becomes peaceful again. But it begins with one decision: to stop making room for what weakens your spirit. Stand in your truth. Guard your gates. Protect your atmosphere. And let every room in your life become a place where the presence of God feels welcome again. The architect of silence is waiting, not outside your door, inside your surrender.